This episode of Critical Hit is being brought to you by Harry's. Hi, everyone. It is Stephen Schleicher, and thank you for downloading and listening to this week's episode of Critical Hit. So glad to have you with us. And hey, listen, Matthew Peterson's here this week. Hey, Matthew.
Hey, how's it going?
I thought we'd take a moment to jump into a couple of mailbag questions because, you know, that's what we do. This isn't a mailbag episode, everybody. Don't worry. I just want to get a little bit of that.
There. We'll answer a couple of questions and...
Yeah, so this one comes from, I guess we're going to use the name that she signed off, Digit. She says, when I first started playing D&D, I played a very naive little cleric, only recently out of her church, and this being her first real experience in the world. One of the first things that happened as a random spot check, perception equivalent today, and my character rolled surprisingly well. The DM said, that grass over there looks slightly different than the grass around it. The party immediately started moving towards it, but I was confused and new to the game, asked why they were doing that, especially since I'd not said anything about it. The grass being different. Of course, that was DM player character knowledge versus character knowledge. The party rewinds, waiting, and I say I just keep moving forward when we are ambushed by a giant plant creature in that spot. Everyone ended up looking at me with almost hostility, and I explained that my naive character wouldn't think anything of grass being a little different and might even assume that that's how it looks in the real world normally. The DM seemed pleased with this response, but the party kind of grumbled an acceptance and told me that generally if those things happen, I should just kind of assume that the knowledge that it is more than it seems should almost be given divinely, like the world telling itself, pointing and saying, this is important. Years later, it's still an experience that bugs me. Were they right? And should game mechanics be a sort of celestial hunch where I should feel at least a nagging sensation something is wrong? Is this actually out of character knowing that I'm using? I'm sorry for the long setup and the questions, but have you had any experience with this where it feels out of character to act or realize something when mechanically you should? Do you feel I played it right or wrong? Well, my first response, Matthew, is, as I said a moment ago, there's a difference between the DM giving you player knowledge, right, and you as a character knowing knowledge. And my guess would be if the DM says, hey, you who have rolled this perception, that's your knowledge. Oh, the grass looks a little different. And if I'm playing the character, maybe that's the way I would assume it. But I wouldn't assume that everyone else around the table, they would hear it. That's player knowledge, but not their character knowledge. And so I think she played it well. And I'm sure that the players were grumbly. Yeah. But I mean, I think that's the right way to play it. What do you think?
Well, I think there's a couple of things going on here. First of all, they're responding to that knowledge that you were given or that you received in character was incorrect. I don't think that you played it wrong. I think that you played it the way that you wanted to play it. And as we've seen, especially with Critical Hit, you can make decisions that have terrible, long-lasting consequences and have them be perfectly justifiable, rational decisions, and have them still be terrible and make your fellow players unhappy. But one thing that you do need to be aware of is that there are a lot of ways to play a D&D character that are away from the norm, that are different. And the first instinct is always to do the opposite of what seems like the quote-unquote normal response. That in itself can be, and I'm not saying it is here, but it can be kind of a rookie mistake in that you're trying to reinvent the wheel a little bit as you're playing a particular character. Now, I think the fact that your DM appreciated your response is good. I think the fact that you understand and are able to justify what your character did was good, but I can also understand the other players being frustrated if it led to problems because your character chose not to act on knowledge that he or she had. So, it's not a question of right or wrong, but it is something that has obviously led to at least minor issues in interaction with the other players. So,
sure. Well, so this was apparently her first time playing or early years of playing.
Yeah.
If you've played, if you are, let's say I'm invited to a group that I've not played with before.
Right.
Would it be acceptable to say, hey, how do you guys generally handle perception, or how do you handle player knowledge versus character knowledge? If I learn something that you guys hear, do we just assume that I have said all this stuff to you and that you know it, or do we just wait for me to actually say it to you before we embark on it.
That's a good call. And that's a point that I think probably could have helped here. But I do think
that seems kind of like a weird thing to sit down at a table with new players and say, hey guys, how do you deal with player knowledge versus character knowledge? And is that important in this game or not? And I mean, I understand Digit's reaction here about, it troubling her. And I totally understand where she's coming from. I don't think she was wrong, but for people who may potentially run into something like this in the future, how do we mitigate that? How do we lessen that?
Right. And, open communication is always going to be key to this. But again, I don't think that there's anything wrong with what happened. But I do think that if you're in a game and your character is doing something and you're aware that your character is doing something and the other players are reacting to it in a way, it's okay to ask a question. Why are you out of character ready to respond like this? Because that can also lead to an issue. That can lead to that hard to define line between your in character and your out of character, because clearly that was a group who was ready to respond to her in character knowledge as though they all knew it. And yeah, I think it's a communication problem. There's a couple of communication problems in there, but no, I don't think you did anything wrong. I think that, when in Critical Hit, do you remember the point where we were in the Feywild?
We've done this several times and this happens a lot, even in our game, where something like this will happen, where Ket has a high perception or hears something, or even recently with, Orem sitting at the bar and other people over at the table doing stuff. Right. There's things that are going on, and either the players ourselves have said, now, do we know this or what? Or Rodrigo has actually stopped us and said, are you doing this in character or what? Or waiting for a response for somebody to say that kind of stuff. And I know sometimes it seems redundant to kind of repeat what the DM just said to you, but that's part of the role-playing experience. So we've gone through those same kind of things. Yeah, and
we're not perfect by any means, but we've had points where out-of-character knowledge has become an issue. We've had points where out-of-character things became in character because they were responded to in character.
Right.
And it can lead to issues. And really the only way to deal with it is to be open about why you've done what you've done. And, again, if you defended yourself to your dungeon master and he or she was perfectly happy with that response, then I think you can take this as an experience going forward of something that may not have worked the way you wanted it to, but if you can justify it, I think, if you feel like you did the right thing and the response was negative, keep that in mind the next time you're ready to do the right thing, whether or not it's worth any blowback that might come to it. Because that's a realistic worry.
And I'm hoping that Digit, that you didn't get a lot of flack from your other players ongoing from that, and hopefully
it was like it was a friendly way to go,
way to go, that kind of stuff. And hopefully they've kind of learned. Maybe they've learned from that too, because I kind of agree with Matthew, is that if the DM's okay with it and that's how the DM wants to run the game, then that's how the DM runs the game. So thank you, Digit. If they
started to respond to out of character knowledge in the game, then that was something that was the beginning of possibly an error. So.
Yep. Well, thank you, Digit, for that email. And listeners, if you have questions for us, you can send them to podcast@majorspoilers.com. And we look forward to getting more of your emails and reading more of them in the future.
We do what we do.
It's always so great to hear from our listeners. And if you want to check out some other things, make sure you check out the website, majorspoilers.com. Check out the episode page, because oftentimes you're going to find other information there in addition to just, a description of the show and direct download links. If you want to do that, you might find some original art. Like a couple of weeks ago, Crystal sent in a sketch, and that was included in the show notes. And for the battle episodes, if you're looking to see where miniatures or where the electronic tokens and everything are moving from player to player, it's all up there at majorspoilers.com. This episode of Critical Hit is being brought to you by Harry's. As I mentioned before, Harry's is so nice because I've kind of heard the excuses and I've made the excuses for reasons not to shave. Oh, it takes too long. Oh, I cut my face up all the time. Oh, I just want to grow this out. Oh, whatever. Listen, stop complaining about your shaving experience and get started with Harry's. But, Stephen, razors are expensive. I can't be shaving my face every day with, the expense of some of these razors. Listen, Harry's gives you a good shave at a great price. I've been shaving with Harry's for, a couple of years now, and I love their razors. In fact, I just got a shipment in of some new Harry's razor stuff. I don't know if I can talk about it this week, but they're pretty cool razors. They've got great designs, and best of all, they're blades. These are German-engineered blades that they have. These are high-quality, high-performance blades, crafted by shaving experts. Oh, they feel so good. My face feels good after a shave with Harry's. And really, I don't think I liked shaving until I got the starter kit from Harry's. Now, Harry's has a starter set. It's called the Truman. I think it's a great option if you've never used Harry's before, and they've got an amazing deal going on right now. For just $15, you get a razor handle. Now, I really like this Truman razor handle. It's got kind of a rubbery grip to it, so it's not like slipping out and sliding around when you're trying to shave your face. It's probably my favorite part of this whole thing, in addition to the blades. And they've got these 5-blade German-engineered razors that are included. You get 3 of those, plus the moisturizing shave cream, and this is normally $15, right? But you're going to get $5 off your first purchase when you use the promo code Critical Hit. That's right. Use the coupon code Critical Hit. You need to go to Harry's, HARRYS.com. Enter the code Critical Hit at checkout. Get $5 off. Help support this show. Stop making excuses for not shaving. Give Harry's a try today. You can thank me later. Thank you, Harry's, for sponsoring this episode of Critical Hit. And now, listeners, here it comes. What's going to happen next? I'm kind of on the edge of my seat, too. I think it's not going to end well.
This episode is brought to you by Major Spoilers VIP members. Thank you for your support of Major Spoilers and the Major Spoilers Podcast Network. If you would like to become a bronze, silver, or gold VIP member, go to members.majorspoilers.com for more information.
Welcome to Critical Hit, a Major Spoilers podcast. Thank you for downloading, thank you for listening, and thank you very much to everyone who shares this episode with a friend or tells their friends about the show or does whatever you do to talk to other people about Critical Hit, including leaving those 5-star reviews over at iTunes. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We're back all together again as a group. It was a very tense time as some of our heroes ventured forth into the territory of the enemy.
Yeah, we went to the other side of the wall.
Yep. And now we're back, Rodrigo.
All right. Well, that was a pretty good recap. So there you guys are on the other side of the wall.
On the other side of the wall. Oh.
I try to get back on the right side of the wall.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. You are now on the same side of the wall as your friends.
Yeah, everyone's down from the wall there.
Yep.
All in all, it's just bricks in the wall. Here we are.
We are all where we need to be.
So, yeah, I think we can call it a day for the Iron Cobra construction crew. Let's get out of here.
Sounds good to me. How much longer is our telepathy active?
Oh, probably.
Maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, we're all together, so.
Well, just in case.
Just in case.
Can have a quiet telepathic sing-along.
Yeah. So, you guys head back towards the gate?
Yep.
Okay. You head back towards the gate.
We're flying casual. We're incredibly nonchalant.
Okay. As you head back towards it, little Sparkle's jumpsuit starts to make noise.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I pull out the little card. Do I think it's going to... I should, toss it to Randus. It's like, is it going to explode?
Oh,
or is this a trickster?
What happens if we, stick it in a bag of holding?
Well, you've all got bags of holdings. Stick it in yours, not mine.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I'll stick it in my bag of holding.
Okay.
Toss it back. Yeah.
Okay. You toss it into the bag of holding. You hear a like
I think it
Uh,
blew
bag of
up.
holding.
you didn't have anything of value in there, did
Well, it had
Look
the
at the-
stone.
you? Oh.
Just the orb.
Yeah, just the weird egg.
Shall we get out of here and worry about that later?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We're still nonchalant.
Well, it was a good try.
Yep.
But now we know that you can't do that.
Yep.
Well, at least not with those cards.
Well, at least not if they notice
can't-
very quickly.
Take them away from the Citadel.
Yeah, I'm wondering
Well,
if that was
specifically for
proximity
those
thing.
scientist guys, because remember, they're
Yeah.
pretty heavily armed. I mean, they're guarded very heavily.
Right.
So they may not have the freedoms that we believe that they may have.
But this also tells us that they are extremely diligent in paying attention. They immediately noticed and detonated, or seemingly detonated.
We don't know
The
that they detonated it.
It could be an automatic
be a
thing.
yeah, it could have
proximity
been a
thing.
proximity.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, either way,
Did
we'll
you get a
out
good
of here
look
and
at it?
examine the wreckage of it afterwards.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you'd have to basically examine the remains, assuming the remains are examinable.
Worry about that later.
Yep.
All right. Well, you guys managed to exit out the gate without too many problems. And you find yourselves at the entrance to the district.
Let's I think we should clear out of here. I'll want to rendezvous back with Techiatl and see what he was able to find out. But I think we have to go in tomorrow.
It seems so.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Oh, actually, while we're at the entrance, do we ever see any? I'm going to try to spend some time at the entrance. Maybe look around to see if I see any of those scientist type leaving or coming through District 1. Because if we're going to get in pretending to be scientists, we probably need.
You don't, but things have really calmed down at this time of day. Like,
Okay.
there just doesn't seem to be as much coming and going as there was before. Maybe if you waited a couple more hours, you'd get people actually leaving to go home for the day.
Sure.
Assuming they do that.
No, fair enough. We could also potentially clear in it, come in as soldiers and change into scientist garb to get us from District 1 into the actual place we need to be.
We could just make some more hats of disguise to do that too.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a great idea. All right. Well, we might have a project for tonight.
Okay.
All
All
right. I say we get out of here, get changed. I don't know, get lunch, and then we can wait until I rendezvous with Techiatl tonight while you get cracking maybe on making more magic items.
Can do.
Okay. So where do you guys go?
I would say back to what's the name of the place where Teach lives? Little Delta.
Okay.
To the Minotaur Bar.
You guys get back to the Minotaur Bar. You see more patrols around in general, but nobody hassles you. And definitely by the time you get to Little Delta, they've really thinned out.
Cool.
Do they seem to be responding to something, or is it just
If you had to guess, they'd probably respond to the giant angel attack.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Oh, I had forgotten about that.
That was awesome.
It was.
Well, then when we get back to Teach's place, I think we will examine what is left of the key card and/or egg in my bag of holding.
Okay.
Okay.
So you get back. Teach isn't there. You open your bag and reach in and pull, or yeah. Well, how do you go about it?
Can you I guess dump a bag of holding on a table?
Sure.
Okay, then yeah, I'll turn it upside down.
Okay. About, I don't know, maybe what seems like, we'll say, about 20 pounds of a very bright white powder pours out. Followed by the clink of a magical orb, presumably under all the powder that it's in. And we'll say also the clink of whatever money you had in there. But I'm going to be a huge jerk and slash your money in half, because any bills, basically any paper money or guild notes that you had, are now ruined. So.
Well, we were explicitly just using Early Sparkle was the bag of holding just for that egg thing, because we didn't want to be touching it or letting it touch anything else, because we had no idea what they were.
All right. So yeah, it's just now a white orb.
Oh. So does it look different than what it did before?
In that it's covered in dust.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, because the thing just utterly disintegrated.
Yeah.
You do find the remains of the card part of that thing in there. But it's pretty clear that the stone itself turned into all this dust.
Got it. Could you maybe figure out, was this dust supposed to produce a tracer, or is it poisonous or magical in some fashion?
I can certainly see if I can determine anything from it.
Yeah, you can test it out. Give me an Arcana check.
All right. 38.
That's literally what it is. It's supposed to explode loudly and basically stain everything. And just from handling it, you touch it with your bare skin, it just kind of gets on you, and it just stains you white, like bright white, like you can't get it off.
I see. And
it does kind of slide off your metal hand, but even if you were using leather gloves or something, it completely stains them.
Okay. Yeah. So I can probably deduce it probably was remotely activated. Maybe. Well, it could have been proximity still.
Did it go off while we were still in the courtyard?
No, you were already in the other district when it went off.
So we have no evidence.
You weren't
one
in
way
the
or
same
the other.
district as the Black Archive. You had already crossed the wall into another district.
Okay. I'll just So yeah, I mean, it definitely was basically supposed to mark whoever would take it. Still not certain whether it was triggered or if it was a proximity situation. I might have to look into that a bit and see if I can make any determination there.
I mean, it's what it means, though, is that in all likelihood, the gem itself isn't going to be. It's not like a rune stone. It's not going to be scanned in some fashion to indicate that you're using the right passage. It's to make sure that your card doesn't get stolen. So we might actually be able to forge these.
Possibly. Item, theoretically. Not to see what I can tell from the card itself.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if there's I don't know, magical tracery or whatever.
Yep. Give me another Arcana check.
All right. 25.
there doesn't really seem to be anything else that's magical about the card, and also, unfortunately, you can't clean it to the point where you could really study it as a card. Little Sparkle did take some notes on it, though, so if you were going to forge it, you could probably go from that, but you don't have an actual working example anymore.
That's too bad. Yeah, fortunately, it seems a bit far gone here, so we're going to have to go with your observations and see what we can manufacture.
Fair enough. Then I can work on that until my meeting time.
Okay.
Can we fabricate the stone as well? Or something approximating the stone?
I don't know if we actually have to copy the mechanism of that. Just
not the mechanism, but something that is visually
just something cosmetic,
identifiable as the same item.
Oh, did you get a good look at that stone there, Little Sparkle?
I mean, I took some. She'll hand him her etchings or drawings of it.
All right. Yeah, we can try to get something like that. I think first, guess I should start on a couple hats.
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
We have 2 currently.
So 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Will wearing the hat cause you to not have any other head slot item?
Correct.
Yeah, not while you're wearing it. You'd have to slot it out.
Yeah, Little Sparkle can probably go out and meet with Tekioro whenever.
Okay, great. Then I'll do that while they're working on making magic.
Okay. So Randus is going to make some hats.
Mm-hmm.
What are the rest of you doing?
Fashioning some way of scooping all that dust out and putting it in some kind of bin without touching it.
Okay.
Does it burn?
Don't know, I'm not touching it.
One doesn't have to touch it to burn it.
Oh, I thought you meant burn my skin. Because that's what I would do if I were going to booby trap
itself
something.
Actually ignite.
I'm not going to start a fire in here. Last thing we need is a bunch of minotaurs running around acting all crazy.
Flaming minotaurs. Fair point. I shall assist Orem in this process of inventing the dustbuster.
Okay. You guys can work on that. What does Ket do?
See if Randus needs assistance. If not, then I'll see if there's anything I can do as far as Cobalt Alley stuff goes. For a couple hours to kill. See if there's any challengers that I could potentially meet or people that I need to challenge. Just
yeah, I mean that there's always something in the queue that you can do.
All right.
Knock out a couple games.
Yeah. Just take on whatever the next challenger happens to be. Assuming that it's something I can do from where I'm at.
It isn't. You have to go there always.
So no.
Yeah. It's just assist Randus then.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, one thing Kent might be good at is potentially hitting the markets and looking for, little gems that might fit in for that slot.
That could work too.
A perceptive dude.
Is?
Not really.
No.
I think my perception is the worst of the group.
Okay.
I was thinking of his insight. Yep.
Yeah. That's okay. This is definitely not going to be a perception check.
I'm a perceptive dude, and it never gets me nothing.
Well, not if you keep rolling below 8.
Hey.
It's not, what? No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you roll so low.
All right.
It's just, you weren't there, and Brian made you become the Blitz. So yeah, that'll almost certainly be streetwise rather than perception to find something appropriate in the markets.
Okay, that I can do.
Okay. Cat goes off to find some stones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. we'll get back to how he dies then.
Cool.
I'm just kidding. I won't even tell you.
All right.
But we'll follow Little Sparkle. So Little Sparkle travels back to the nest.
Yep.
And
I believe she had picked out a good meeting place for Tekiatl, since he was like, I don't want anything to do with picking out places for clandestine truant meetings.
Yeah. You do. You find a basically a little noodle place that has outdoor seating, by which it means it's kind of in an alley and just has like tables and chairs out in the alley.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah, but it's not like because it's just like in a weird corner, like, and the seating's not great. Like people don't frequent it, especially at like a random time of day. So it's pretty private.
Cool.
And when you head over there, he's already there, looking just colossally awkward.
Perfect.
Like he's trying to hide the fact that he's waiting for someone.
Even though if he was just waiting for someone, that would be totally reasonable, because this is a restaurant.
Yep, exactly. And like he doesn't have any food in front of him. Like
awesome.
This is one of those places where you go up and order, so he hasn't ordered anything either. Like, yeah, he's just sticking out like a sore thumb.
Sparkle will try to cover for him, be like, Tekiatl, you didn't have to wait for me to before ordering. Come on, let's get some noodles.
Like, oh, right, let's do that. He's like, what's some innocuous noodles I can order?
Here. This is the most normal noodle dish.
Oh, okay, I'll get that, but don't get the same thing as me. That might make them suspicious.
Okay. I'll go for the spicy noodles then.
Okay, that's a good plan. That's a good cover. So you guys get some food.
Yep.
He looks around as you guys start to eat. There's like nobody around, and you guys can actually find a table that's like kind of weirdly catty cornered to the door, so that even the people in the restaurant can't actually see you.
Mm-hmm.
So he pulls out some like full-on blueprints, and puts them on the table and opens them up a little bit. So this is what I've been able to find. The coil was really careful, so all of the blueprints, like no department was given all of the blueprints to the Black Archive, so it was sort of built piecemeal by different companies and different subcontractors, as well as multiple different projects of the coil itself. But these are the ones I've been able to find. And he kind of, after basically just showing Little Sparkle, he rolls it up and pushes it towards her on the table.
Thank you. She'll take them and put them in a bag.
Okay. When you go to take them, he doesn't let go of them right away.
Mm.
And he's like, so I've been thinking about this a lot, and this is really dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So I've realized that it's likely that I'll get killed just for giving you this information if I'm ever found out. So I thought a lot about it, and I want to know what's happening. Because if I'm going to put myself at this level of risk I think I should know.
That's reasonable. Okay, I can tell you that. So you remember the scientist that kind of set this whole thing in motion?
Yeah, Lek.
Yeah, well, they have him back, and apparently what he'd been working on was a device that opens portals or at least sends people to other worlds. And I don't mean like the Feywild, I mean like entire other worlds.
Like other natural worlds with their own
Yes,
Feywild and stuff.
exactly. And entirely different people and rules and stars.
Did anybody know those things were a thing?
Not, I mean, not as far. No one from this world, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, that is a big deal.
Yep. And the coil realizes the potential to, plunder all those places.
Yeah, no, the implications of that are enormous. I mean, okay, all right, yeah, all right. No, I see it. So this whole thing is because the coil has Lek back, right?
Yes, and I think that's why Lek fled in the first place. When he realized what he'd done, he saw the implications and wanted to keep it out of their hands.
Okay, all right, I see. So then you went after him.
Yeah, so I went after him first. Well, I was trying to first find the people that the coil thought might be in contact with him, and eventually did find him. But my whole attempt to rescue him didn't go very well. The coil got him anyways. So then we came back here, but they had a huge head start on us.
Right. Okay. So this whole thing now, all of Radiant Tomorrow, is that?
Yep, that's the Lek project. We found a lab of theirs where there are a bunch of scientists studying some kind of strange water that seems very important to the project. I'm not really sure why.
That makes sense. There's a really obscured shipment, like essentially a tanker walker is going to be heading towards the Black Archive here in about a day and a half.
Do you know what it contains?
Nope, but the last time they sent a tanker there was several months ago, so maybe they've run out of whatever it's carrying.
Oh, we heard some guards referring to the water problem, and the tank that I saw was not very full.
Yeah, so they must be running out.
Mm-hmm.
I guess whatever they're doing must be consuming a certain amount of specially treated water, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I couldn't make much out of the notes, but the building they had on it also was able to open up. I'm not really sure what the purpose of that was either.
Oh. Well, the tankers are really modular, so you can plug hoses into them, or, I mean, they're basically Locust tanks without the weapons and with giant tankers built into them.
Well, that makes a lot of sense then.
They could potentially climb into a building and then just connect to a nozzle, or, I mean, really, if you think about anything a bug can do, Locust tanks can do, so, I mean, who knows?
Sure. But yeah, I mean, it seems like they've made some degree of progress, which is scary.
Okay. So what are you guys? What are you and your crew gonna do?
We're going to try to get Lek out of there and destroy any research that they might have.
Okay. Okay. So what are you gonna do with Lek once you have him out of there?
That is a very good question. I don't know. I'm not sure. Is this one of those points where I should make an insight check to make sure that he is actually asking me these questions for the reasons he says he's asking me?
You can always ask to do that.
Can I do that?
Sure.
Cool. Just occurred to me that I could be like dealing with a guy without a disguise, and that would be very sad.
Incidentally, he isn't wearing a hat, but
Well,
I mean,
fair enough. But I've got a 30 insight check.
okay. It is so here's what you get. He's interested, like he's clearly interested.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get a sense that you're talking to someone else other than this person that you've known this whole time.
Okay.
His interest, or rather his fear, seems to have drawn away a little bit. And now he seems mostly interested, which could mean any number of things, but it could be that he's just a little bit more at ease now too.
Okay. So.
But yeah, you really don't get the sense that this is someone like mind controlling him or pretending to be him or anything like that.
Cool. Or trying to fair enough.
Sure.
We've got a tenuous idea of trying to get him somewhere safe, but honestly, the less anyone knows about that, the better.
Okay, yeah, I get that. Okay. So now that I know, I think I can continue to help you. I mean, I'm pretty high up in the bureaucracy nowadays, so I can try to feed you more information if I come across it. When are you planning on doing this?
Soon. We have a pass rune, and we know it's going to expire eventually. And so, the longer we wait, the more at risk we are that it will be useless.
How are you going to get through the checkpoints?
We were thinking of going in disguised as either soldiers or scientists or some combination therein.
I see. Do you have the names of the scientists who you'd be impersonating?
I do not. I took some notes on the people that I saw today, but and correct me if I'm wrong, Rodrigo, their badges or didn't have names, and they weren't talking to each other with their names.
No, some of the badges had names. I mean,
oh, okay.
The soldiers tended to not have names, but the scientists did.
Okay. Could I have gathered effectively 5 different scientist names, or?
Sure.
All right, then. Yeah, I've got she'll pull out a little pad, a list of names I was able to overhear.
Oh. Well, I mean, what if those guys aren't supposed to be working that day?
Oh.
I mean, they're going to check that against the schedule.
Yeah, if you could get me a schedule or a roster or, an idea of what would be appropriate. We were able to see that I've got a crew of 5, and we can disguise ourselves reasonably well, and we're working on forging some pass cards. So if you can get us a idea of what an appropriate group, when names, what kind of verification we'd need, that would be amazing.
I mean, it depends how long you can give me. I mean, that's a lot of very specific information that
sure.
I'm sure it requires a lot of separate queries over a long period of time so as to not rouse suspicion. Furthermore, we'd have to coordinate that with entirely people who aren't there at the moment. And also, you'd have to figure out how to prevent these people from showing up for their shifts, I guess.
Well, that I could probably do. Well, so honestly, any pieces of the puzzle that you could provide on a tight timeline would make our lives easier. This doesn't have to be. I mean, I'd love it to be perfect, but the rune has an expiration date. Actually, if you know how long those runes are typically good for, that would be helpful.
I don't think they usually last much more than a week. It really
Yeah.
depends on where it lands on the month.
That's what we thought. So we only, yeah. Do I know when that rune was acquired, and do I have any idea how essentially what the timing was and how much
Not
days it had left?
Not really. You're probably getting towards the end of that rune's lifetime. Like,
Oh,
really, we're talking within a couple days.
okay. Yeah, I mean, we basically need to go tomorrow or the day after.
Uh,
So
I Sparkle, or sorry, Maya, I can't get you that information
no, I
in
understand.
a day. I don't. I mean, I can get you maybe one name, but getting you the paperwork to get you through. I mean, even just that, like the amount of time it would take you to, even if I could get you all the names, I mean, I don't know how fast you can forge things, but a convincing forgery, assuming you didn't just go and mug all those guys, and if you did, then they might realize that all those guys got mugged.
Sure. Yeah, no, I know.
Okay,
If you
okay,
have,
so what if I could get you the location of this tanker?
yes, that would be perfect.
Okay, that I can do. I can tell you that it's not going to have 5 people with it. It might have an operator and maybe a couple soldiers. Um,
Sure, but yeah, that we could. If it's as big as you say it is, we might even be able to like hide someone inside of it.
well, yeah, but that person would have to be able to breathe underwater.
It's probably something we can do.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Well, I in that case, you might want to hide everybody in there.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I'll get you the tanker's location and as much information on it as I can. How about that?
that's perfect. No, so the tanker. I mean, is it gonna go through? I mean, it'll go into.
It'll go through
Uh,
the checkpoints, but only the people. They're not going to search it. Only the people
okay.
guarding it are going to have to go through and go through the
Perfect.
things. And if what you say is true, this is probably going to be kind of a rush anyway. They're not going to spend as much time worrying about where it's coming from, or rather, the people involved, because it sounds like they really need this water. And given the priority given to the order for the tanker, it really seems like they're really trying to push it through the bureaucracy.
Okay.
So that'll actually make things a little bit easier for me.
That's to make things infinitely easier for us. So then, yeah, if you can get me the location of it, we can go try to take out the guards and effectively replace them, and get through the checkpoints, and then go from there. Possibly, I mean, it's going to take us right to that lab. We could probably sneak out from there and then start. So once we're actually through the checkpoints, any recommendations for how we get into the archive proper?
If you have that rune, um, hopefully you can just show it to the guards and they'll let you through. Um, but I don't know exactly how many people you're bringing.
Mm-hmm.
But a good reason as to why you're bringing a group of 5 people in might be in order. Then again, if you make a show of coming in with the tanker, that could potentially, I mean, if you can swing that, I mean, I don't know, I'm not very good on my feet at talking about that stuff. So
Oh no, that's fine.
if
So
you can massage that into them letting you through even without the proper paperwork, um but I'm pretty certain that I can get you at least the operator's identity. So if
that would be
assuming
perfect. If we
there are
can imitate the
Kenku
operator, then
or
we can have a good reason to go into the archive.
yeah, I think very likely it's going to be a human. So if you have a human in your group that can impersonate them, that should you should at least be able to forge one set of documents that will get you all the way through. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can
Does that
arrange
work?
that. Okay, this is looking better than I thought.
Okay. I hope I'm being helpful. I don't mean to.
You are being incredibly helpful. Really, I don't know. I would be incapable of doing this without you.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm just trying to do my part. The coil is a pretty just. I mean, it's straight up evil. I mean, right? Like,
No, yeah. I mean,
so yeah, that's. He kind of looks down a little bit, then back up, then back down. He's like, yeah, that's the main reason I'm doing this. So yeah, I was actually planning on going in to work now.
okay.
So I can probably have that information for you hopefully sometime tonight or maybe early morning. Is there a place where I can courier that to you or meet you?
Sure, yeah. We're actually staying in Little Delta, so I wouldn't necessarily.
Well, is there a different place that won't get me stabbed?
Yeah, I can. Oh, you know what? I've got a place in. Oh wait, that was in Murder Town. I only go to nice places when I'm home these days. Yeah, I can find a place where you can leave a message.
Okay, yeah, if you can just get me that at some point, that'll be good. You can do that magical talking in my head thing that you
Yep,
that you
exactly.
can apparently do now.
It's that I found, like I said, some interesting friends.
I guess. Well, I mean, okay, all right. So I'll just get you all of that.
Okay.
There. If you think of anything else, just let me know.
And if trying to think how if anything goes wrong, um, I'm trying to come up with the best way for you to get word to me.
Okay.
But
Uh, well, let me think. Uh, I do have access to some of the um subcontractors.
mhm.
So how about this? If something goes wrong before you get there, I will try to schedule a paint crew into the Black Archive, which will they won't make it through. It's just like regular painters. They're obviously going to get stopped at the checkpoint, and it'll be a kind of a bureaucratic snafu. So if you see a painting company trying to get in through the front door, then that'll let you know that there's a problem.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, and I'll give him I'm sure I've got basically somewhat of a network of drops and things like that. So like a place where he can maybe leave a message for me.
Okay. Oh, okay. Wow. All right. This is very good. Good to know.
Yeah, this is more. You're the I guess first person who's not actually running around stabbing or casting spells at people that I think has known this much about my operations.
Well, that's nice. I mean, I don't know. It's just I'd like to think that there's a part of me that would have been a good truant, but I kind of just don't have it in me. So any way that I can
No,
help is good.
I've thought that myself. There's you're even like the best kind of truant is what you'd be.
Oh, well, thanks. Hey, there is. I mean, I don't mean to throw anything, but how often do these things go flawlessly?
Never.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So maybe there is I mean, I don't know that I'm going to be able to stay in the coil after all this goes down, no matter what. So maybe
Yeah.
there is a place for me somewhere in the organization.
Well, if don't worry, if I make it out and you make it out, I'll I'll show you a good time in Monster Town.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna go work on this. Oh yeah, hang on. And he like just scarfs down a bunch of noodles, like you know, like I didn't want to be suspicious and leave any food.
Oh yeah, no, good call.
So he likes I was like, oh okay, well I'll get word to you from
Okay.
if I find anything else, and I'll let you know where these things are. Why don't you magic me a message at midnight tonight and see if I can just get you some information.
Sounds good. All right. Be safe.
You too. And he walks away.
Cool. I'll finish my noodles and head back to Little Delta.
Okay. You want to give me a streetwise check there for Cat?
Okay. 28.
Okay. Cat kind of goes wide. He finds like he sees a stone, and then he's like he kind of finds like a better deal, but it's like slightly off. And then he finds like a better deal, but it doesn't look anything like them. And then he kind of gets this and like it's like, oh, I saw you looking at both of those, so why don't you take both of them for like half of it? So like basically, Ked comes back with like maybe way too many of them.
Yeah.
But that's better than not enough, I suppose.
Yeah, we can figure out what works the best. Sparkle had a better look at these things anyways.
Yep. So in the meantime, the rest of you have managed to successfully clean the powder away, but not entirely without casualties. Basically, both Randus and Sakar have had their arms stained significantly. Obviously, Randus just his skin arm. But Sakar, basically both of his forearms have big white stains on them just from, minute errors in calculation, which then like irrevocably stain you. And especially like even through your clothes and stuff. So also Sakar had like one set of clothes essentially ruined by this. Oram seems largely unfazed by it and does not seem to have gotten dirty at all.
Hooray!
Rubs his
Yay,
forearms
Eldrin.
all over for him.
Jerk.
Well,
Ket comes back.
Ket, you're back.
Hey, Kit.
I found some gems.
All right.
A few more than we needed, probably. Hold up the bag.
Well,
3 or 4 times more than we needed by the
little
looks of
sparkles
things.
sort them out. I
They
guess.
gave me a deal when I was looking at different gems.
Well, guess it won't hurt to have a good selection.
One supposes.
And then Little Sparkle comes back as well.
Little Sparkle, you're back.
Hey,
How'd it go?
good. I've got a way that we can probably get through the checkpoints. I'm just getting. We're gonna try to get information. I'll hear a report back. Or I'm supposed to send a message to Tekiato at midnight. If one of you could whip me up a sending scroll again.
Sure.
But he thinks that he can find the location of a specialized version of the locust tank that is being used to ferry water into the archive. The water, presumably, that they were using for those experiments we saw today. And that between posing as the operator and some soldiers accompanying it and possibly riding in the tank with, I don't know, something that lets you breathe water, we can all get in pretty easily.
I'm sure we can make something that be able to allow some of us here to come in through the tank.
Breathing water in the tank?
That was the idea, yeah?
become confused. All right.
Well, so the tank is filled with water.
The locust tank.
Well, it's a specialized locust tank. It's instead of weapons, it's just filled with water.
But not the water tank, which is a different
No. It's going to supply the water tank.
Ah, indeed. All right.
But Techiaddle thinks that he can get us in the name of the operator, so we can have or one of us can pose as him, and with the runestone and coming in with the tank, that should be enough cover to get us actually into the archive.
Seems workable.
Could certainly make some elixirs for water breathing, it looks like.
Does our gloves of climbing and swimming give us any...
Just a swim speed.
Okay.
Yep. Doesn't let you actually breathe water.
Darn it.
This car doesn't have what's called seal form.
Unfortunately, no.
What about sea serpent? Like water snake?
Unfortunately,
Chupacabras don't have to breathe, right?
All right.
That better have been out of character, Missy.
All right. Let's keep the chupacabra talk to a minimum. Unfortunately, joking. Here's the problem. Unfortunately, joking around within the context of the game gets stains the fans.
To remember only that.
Yeah, I've really only allowed it because prior to this, Matthew was the worst offender of that stuff. and now that I feel that enough comeuppance has happened that I'm putting a stop to it. So let's just not make fun of each other's characters within the context of the out of character of the game. You guys can make fun of each other in character. That's fine.
Fair enough.
But yeah, because that has its own set of consequences and issues. But yeah. So I believe you guys were talking about water snakes.
Oh yeah. But I think if we have maybe, I don't know, how expensive are those elixirs to make?
We'd be talking 3,000 and a bit
Each.
But would pretty much last the whole day, or I could make much cheaper ones that would last an hour.
Well, you could just make a bunch of those and we could just keep chugging them.
I suppose that's true.
You could also potentially, if I'm seeing this right, use a water breathing ritual. But you'd have to roll 30 or higher in the ritual once you've learned it and everything, to have it work for 24 hours. And that would be an Arcana check. It would cost you 680 gold to learn the whole ritual and 135 gold to cast it.
That would be a lot cheaper.
What are the odds of rolling a 30 or better?
Randus has a pretty good chance of rolling a 30 or better, especially with help.
We can all help him, yes?
Yeah. Incidentally, you could, if you want to put your faith elsewhere, anybody with the ritual caster feat could potentially learn this spell and cast it. So if you wanted to have Orem do it, he could do it as well.
Yeah. Arcana or nature.
Oh.
Both of which I am trained in. I go ahead and... Randus, are you the only one that can make a scroll ascending?
You cannot?
I don't see it in my ritual book, which...
You don't have sending in your ritual book?
That's what I don't understand. I think it's there. I'm pretty sure it's there, but it's not. With changes, things fall off, so... I'm pretty sure I made them before.
I don't recall you guys ever making them separately.
Let's see. Well, Orem should have sending.
Yeah. All right.
So
then, in the time that Randus is doing his thing, I've made a scroll of sending for Little Sparkle.
So I want to see what we can do to acquire a copy of the water breathing ritual to learn that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would let you develop it, but you
Okay.
basically have to spend maybe 4 hours or so experimenting.
Okay.
Did we
and that way
complete
you
the
don't even have
hats?
to leave the house.
If we're time crunched, we could also probably go back to the river in Murder
Yep.
Town, see if he's got it.
Yep.
Did we complete the hats or no?
Has it been 3 hours? Or is that?
Yep.
Okay.
And did we decide
So how
that
long
we
it
have
takes?
to? Did we have to do the Arcana check when we create the scroll?
No, I'll do it when I
Okay.
use the scroll.
All right.
Nope.
How far away are you from this person, do you think?
I don't know. How far are we from
100 miles?
platform 1?
Less than 100 miles, definitely.
All right.
Okay.
So anything less than
Sorry,
a 20 that
District
you
1.
roll should be fine.
Yeah. Enchant magic item only takes an hour, so yeah, I should have time to research water breathing.
Yep. Just make sure that you're going to pay spell components to learn it, because rather than you buying a scroll or whatever or pay to be taught it, you are developing it on your own. So normal gold doesn't count for that.
All right. I got plenty of residual on me still.
Mm-hmm.
So how much component cost on top of the
135 gold pieces.
the market price to learn is 680.
680.
So should I just stay up to 680 or how much?
Yep. Just pay the 680.
All right.
And you're essentially paying for this in like 4 hours of hardcore research. I want to say that at some point, one of the two of you actually had this ritual previously, so you may you may well have seen it before. People can leave in the comments whether one of these guys actually had it at some point.
Yeah.
Tell us which episode.
Sure,
I'm pretty sure during one of the builds, a lot of my rituals disappeared.
Yeah, basically, when we remade characters at the beginning of this season, a lot of the rituals went away to cut down on stuff, and also because I had you guys, buy stuff from the ground up, which means you had limited resources to buy rituals. But also, it really trimmed the fat is mostly what I was looking for.
I'm getting the builder up to add it here, so I'll double check my list.
Okay.
Like high school algebra, sometimes you forget it, and then you remember that you knew it.
So spend several hours dunking my head into a bucket of water.
Nope, that didn't work.
Science!
That didn't work.
It eventually it becomes clear that it saves a lot more time if he just has a Sakard raise him and lower him out of a bucket of water.
I'll just hold him by the ankle. And when he says lower, I'll put him in, and if the bubbles stop, I'll pull him out.
Yeah. At which point the door opens. Teach looks at all of you and says, "I'm not drunk enough for this," and just closes the door and goes back down to the tavern.
That's reasonable.
That is an entirely appropriate response.
So, Orem makes a sending scroll.
Yep.
Okay. Little Sparkle has one sending scroll, and eventually, after a few hours, Randus cracks it. I will charge you once to cast it to test it. But yeah, it's also you realize that it's actually very efficient. For example, there shouldn't be a lot of essentially, it's D&D, but essentially oxygen in a bucket of water. But you can breathe for a good long while with it. So even if even if you are put into a tank of water that presumably would run out of breathable material, you can continue to breathe for a good long while. It stands to reason.
I think to help Randus out, I'll kind of tell him about my Endure Elements ritual that I have. It's
Sure.
not the same because it's weather, but water comes from weather, so maybe there's something there that will help us out.
Yeah,
We can extrapolate
you guys
from
nerd
that.
out over rituals.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you just like to spend the money on it, I'll just let Randus also learn Endure Elements.
Oh, okay.
Double check, I don't
that
have
one
that.
is market cost 100 gold pieces.
Nice.
Okay.
The nerds traded glasses, and now they know each other's stuff.
Yep.
If we think of anything else we need for this endeavor.
It really wouldn't be crazy for you to make more potions of invisibility, honestly.
Mm.
What I was going to say, yeah.
I'm
More invisible is always good.
that's 1,800 a pop. I'm at around, not calculating in everything that we spent tonight, I'm at around 10,000 gold pieces left.
Hmm.
And
I still have that fat whack of cash from that we got with the mountain elves, so I can
Okay.
contribute some if people are running low.
Well, and I still have 35,000 in components, so
I was going to say, I
Well-
thought we had like a monkey load of components.
we have
we
a
do.
monkey load of components, not gold, though.
Yeah, I mean, I've got all the gold we need, but this
is
seems
all
to be
components.
a case for components
okay, we're
unless we
doing
want to
all
go
components
trying
right
to
now, okay.
buy components.
Spend
that's-
none of what has happened today
Okay,
comes out of gold. So if you spent any gold,
okay.
refund it and then spend it out of components.
The
You see
components.
why though, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. All right, so now I'm down to 25,000 in components, and we all have invisibilities potions.
Lovely.
All right.
And hats of disguise, right?
And Hats of
Yes.
Disguise, but Randus took that out of his.
Yeah, I already subtracted that.
Cool, I was just writing it down on my sheet.
Yep. So there's a few when Ked and Sparkle come back. There's a few Tesla cones on the on the table.
Dutha cones?
Great.
Dutha cones? Tesla doesn't exist. Duthane? Dutha?
Okay.
Boo!
Pretty sure Dutha is a terrible word in Hindi, I believe.
Mm.
Who
Let's not
can
use
tell?
Randy cones!
Rand.
Randicones.
That's a terrible word in any language.
All right, so a good night of crafting.
A good night of crafting.
We're hatted, we're potioned.
Mm-hmm.
Are we badged?
Yeah, I guess we still need to.
Oh yeah, I can. Once Sparkle gets back, she can start on some forging of badges using the nice little stone collection that Ted acquired for us.
Yes.
Okay.
You got quite the
You'll
selection.
need to put the final touches after you actually have the name of the operator.
But I can just start getting the basics.
Yeah. Go ahead and give me a thievery check now.
Sure thing.
Back and save.
I've got a 34.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Okay.
Everything done?
Yep. When midnight rolls around, I'll contact Tekiatl.
Oh, okay. Instead of waiting an actual hour.
Sure. Go ahead and give me a roll.
And I'll assist.
Okay.
28.
23.
So,
So
100
25
miles.
with
Yeah.
Orm's assist.
Easily 100 miles.
Okay.
Sweet. So my sending will be
25 words.
sure. I mean, I'm not going to need that. Just just checking in. Let me know where to go and who to look for.
Okay. You get something back. I already sent it I already put it in your northern drop point.
Okay. Then she'll say,
You actually don't get another one back.
Oh.
Oh, you're telling these guys. Okay, I'm sorry.
So she'll say, he actually left it for me physically, so I'm gonna go pick that up.
Okay.
All right.
Need any assistance?
Hopefully not.
Okay. If we hear any explosions, we'll come running.
Sounds good. I'll head to my drop.
Okay. You head over and find a file.
Cool. I will take it back to base.
Okay.
Baked into a cake.
Yep. You get back, inspect the file. It does have name and information of the operator. Let's see. I had a name here somewhere. Hang on. Name is Raleli. Raleli. 4 bat. Like the number 4, and like a bat.
Well, let me write that down again. So I got 4 bat, and what was the first name?
Raleli. Raleli.
Cool. And she or he is the operator?
Yep. He's the operator, and it also says there that there is a 2-person dispatch.
Are there names of the dispatch, or does that vary?
It varies. It's probably like a different office that decides who goes, which is potentially helpful or dangerous, right? Because they're not going to necessarily, it's like the paperwork could get there and they'd be like, oh, you're who you're supposed to be. Are you and you who you're supposed to be? Or it could be like the paperwork never gets here on time, so as long as the operator checks out, everybody gets through.
Well, you can hopefully rely on me bluffing our way into if it's one of those later cases that there was a reassignment that hasn't come through. So
Yeah.
All right, great. And then is there a location for where to find this thing?
It is coming from a factory in Greywater.
Okay.
Which actually seems crazy. This very likely is a like hidden facility.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that does not seem like a place where the coil would be operating serious like research military tech.
Yeah.
Crazy. But I guess it makes sense if you're trying to do something weird with water.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay. So she'll say we're gonna hit this and hit it hard tomorrow. We're gonna try to make it as fast and quiet as possible so that we don't raise the alarm before we have to go in.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll be ready.
Okay. I'm gonna try to maybe case. I mean, it's Greywater. There's it's actually a surprisingly easy place to get into. So we could case it a little bit before we hit it. Do I have a time of when this is supposed to be leaving the factory?
Yeah, it's supposed to be leaving basically late tomorrow, like wee hours of the morn, essentially. So not okay. So late the day or early the day after tomorrow, essentially, is what I'm trying to say.
So we have some time to
you
check
guys
this place
basically
out.
have about a day to.
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, well, we should case the factory, find out what kind of resistance we're gonna face, anything we can learn about the operator or the team that goes with it that can help with our disguises.
Maybe we should all get some rest.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. It's been a productive day.
Yeah, I think it has. Look at all we've accomplished.
Yeah.
I like productive days like this.
Sleep.
Sleep is upon us all, and probably upon you, the listener, as well, because you're listening to this late at night under the covers with your flashlight, and your parents are screaming at you to go to bed.
Why do you need a flashlight to listen to a podcast?
For your iPod, you're
Yeah.
like looking and making sure that
Yeah, you don't want to miss a single second of this thing.
And how old are we in this theory that our parents are yelling at us?
35.
Yep. So, podcast at majorspoilers.com, and until next time, here's hoping all of your dice rolls are critical hits.
This podcast is copyright 2016 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.
This podcast is part of the Frog Pants Studios Network. For more information about this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.